Good morning. I want to thank everyone for coming, but especially I want to thank the people who are standing up here right now. Obviously standing with Governor Pataki and our state representatives, Senator Nick Spano, Assemblyman Gary Fredlo, Assemblyman Lou Masiello and Richard Brodsky, and a member of our city council, our minority leader Liam McGloin. I want to thank you all for coming today. As you know, we just went through what was for us one of the toughest budgets we have ever had. One that had the potential for devastating the City of Yonkers services and the City of Yonkers Board of Education. And with enormous help from our state delegation, with enormous help from our governor, we were able to secure the kind of revenue, and I mean a revenue stream because it's recurring revenues, that we have never had in the City of Yonkers. $76 million of recurring revenues and enormous amounts of money to help with the capital improvements of our schools, as well as a major downtown project and the opening up of the Sawmill River, which will run right outside this office, right outside this building, down to the Hudson River. We were only able to do that because of the vision of the people who are standing here, who shared our vision for the future in our city. And that starts at the top, as it always does and always has. So with that, I would like to introduce, first of all, a man who's been supporting the City of Yonkers for the 12 years he's been here. It's been my fortune to be here for 10 of those years as a deputy and now as a mayor, to share in the vision that we have for our city with the governor of the state of New York, the great governor of the state of New York, who has taken us to so many fortunes over these 12 years and has helped the City of Yonkers so many times. And now with this budget, again, is helping the City of Yonkers achieve the kind of vision we've only talked about for so many years. With that, I would like to introduce a man who has always been a friend, an ally, and a partner for the City of Yonkers, Governor George Pataki.
Thank you, Mayor, for that very nice introduction, but more importantly, thank you for your leadership of this great city. I've always believed it is one of the most important symbols of New York, and when Yonkers does well and Yonkers moves forward, the state moves forward. Before I talk specifically about Yonkers, I'd like to just speak a little bit about the budget that now is the law in the state of New York. From the beginning, I have had as one of my highest priorities aiding local governments and aiding school districts. And we've worked very hard and dramatically expanded aid to schools across the state since I've taken office. And this year I proposed the largest increase in aid to local schools any governor ever proposed. And I'm pleased that now that the budget is finally adopted with respect to schools, with the legislature adding to what I proposed, we have a more than $1.25 billion increase in aid to schools, the largest school aid increase in New York State history. And I think that is a very positive thing for property taxpayers, for teachers, and most importantly for the children of New York State. We worked very hard to make sure that those funds were targeted, not just to districts across the state, but in particular to some of the high-needs districts. And New York City schools this year will be getting more than $425 million above what they got last year. Over $6.5 billion in aid from the state of New York, and we're very proud of that. Also in Westchester, where I remember from my days as mayor and then as an assemblyman here in this great county, there was always the battle over trying to get more school aid so we could help our children and keep property taxes down. Well, this year, Westchester County schools are going to get more than $45 million more than they got last year, 11% more than they got last year alone. Mount Vernon is getting more than $6.5 million above last year. New Rochelle, $4 million more. Lakeland, almost $3.5 million more. Peekskill, more than $2 million more. And of course here in Yonkers, $14.5 million more in state aid than they got last year. This has always been a priority. It's a priority that is being recognized this year. And I want to congratulate my colleagues from the state legislature, Senator Spano and the members of the Assembly delegation, because they worked very hard to make sure that school aid was one of the priorities in this finished budget. I also want to thank them as well because the other priority, and again putting on my old hat as mayor, has been to aid local governments. And I proposed a significant increase in aid to local governments, particularly cities, a 2-year program under my Aid and Incentive to Municipalities program. Not only was that adopted, but so was an additional increase in aid to municipalities that the legislature added in, so that every single city in this county will be getting at least a $250,000 increase in aid to the cities, and there will be significantly more for the larger cities in Westchester County. Now with respect to Yonkers, again I want to congratulate Mayor Phil Amicone, because this is a great city, but you have to have the leadership and you have to have the vision to make sure that the needs of the people are met while you do everything you can to protect the taxpayers. And since my first day as governor, I've worked with Senator Spano and others to try to target more aid to Yonkers. First because of the desegregation lawsuit where Yonkers was losing aid, and now because as Yonkers looks at a very bright future, there are transitional gaps and difficulties, particularly in the aid to school programs. So this year we worked very hard on targeting funds specifically to this great city. And as the mayor said, the budget that was enacted and is now the law in this state provides about $100 million more from the state of New York to the city of Yonkers than it got last year. And $76 million of that will be recurring year in and year out. This is an extraordinary increase. The school aid will go up almost $37 million this year. Regular aid increase, part of that $1.25 billion. And then a year ago, Senator Spano said, we're going to have the VLTs at Yonkers Raceway. It's going to mean additional cost, additional police, additional support from the city. Let's get something in return. So we sat down over the winter, and I proposed in my executive budget a special targeted incentive program to reward communities that have allowed those VLTs to come in and where school districts need additional aid. And I'm pleased that the legislature has kept that provision in. And Nikki, thank you. That's another $20 million on top of that 16. Recurring funds so that Yonkers schools will get almost $37 million a year this year and into the future as well. I'm also very grateful that the legislators behind me, the delegation who represent the city of Yonkers, worked very hard and came up with another $20 million incentive package aimed at the fact that Yonkers has magnet schools. And this again will mean $20 million this year and $20 million in recurring aid. And we also, as I said, we increased aid to municipalities across the state. It's part of a multi-year program. And that will mean almost $21 million a year to Yonkers each and every year. More than $76 million in recurring aid this year and into the future. And then a few years back, I remember my State of the State. And Phil, you were the deputy mayor at the time. And as you probably know, I've been to Yonkers many, many times as governor. As I would walk the streets and sit here and either be down at the new train station or the new developments at the railroad or checking with people in Getty Square, I realized that under this great city, right downtown, right in front here, the Neperhan Creek flows. And you think about what communities have done, bringing people, bringing shops, bringing restaurants, tourists to downtowns around a running river. And a few years back in my State of the State address, I said, let's open up the Neperhan Creek in Yonkers and let's make sure Yonkers has that type of attraction downtown. Well, you need the funds to do it. And Senator Spano, Nikki, congratulations, because there's $24 million in capital in this year's budget. And to Gary Pretlow and all of the members of the Assembly delegation working in a bipartisan way, Lou Masiello, Richard Brodsky, congratulations to you, because that vision is going to become a dream. And Mayor Amicone is going to make it come real for the people of this great city. So this is an exciting day. I'm very pleased that we have the second straight on-time budget. It is also now a good budget. And when you look at it from three standpoints, aid to municipalities, record increases in school aid, and through that, helping relieve the pressure and the burden on property taxpayers, this is a very, very good historic budget. So congratulations to all of you who worked so hard in a bipartisan way. And Phil, this is a great city, and I have no doubt it's just going to continue to get better and better and better. Thank you very much.